moonlit path stretched before Eleonora, a ribbon of silver light cutting through the ancient forest. The air was heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth, the kind of stillness that made every breath feel like a trespass. The full moon hung low, its pale glow casting long, twisted shadows that seemed to writhe and pulse as if alive. The trees whispered secrets to the wind, their voices a chorus of murmurs that grew louder with every step she took. Eleonora's heart thundered. In her chest a drumbeat of fear and anticipation. She had heard the legends. The moonlit path appeared only under the full moon, a trail for the lost, the brave, and the desperate. She was all three. The forest seemed to close in around her, the canopy above swallowing the stars. The whispers grew sharper, more distinct, each one a fragment of a story, a plea, a warning. She pressed on, her boots sinking into the soft, moss-covered ground. The path was alive, pulsing with an energy that made her skin crawl. She could feel it, the weight of countless eyes watching her, the breath of unseen figures brushing against her neck. She dared not look back. The first spirit emerged from the shadows, his form shimmering like mist caught in the moonlight. He was an old man, his face weathered and lined with the marks of a life spent at sea. His eyes were hollow, filled with the endless depths of the ocean. He spoke without moving his lips, his voice a low, guttural rumble that seemed to rise from the earth itself. "The sea," he intoned. "She is a cruel mistress. She gives life and takes it without mercy." His hand, translucent and cold, reached out to her, offering a silver pendant that glinted like a shard of ice. Eleonora took it, her fingers trembling. The moment the pendant touched her skin, she felt it. The rush of salt water in her lungs, the sting of the storm, the crushing weight of the waves pulling her under. She gasped, and the old man was gone, his laughter echoing in the wind. The path twisted deeper into the forest, the moonlight growing dimmer, the shadows darker. The whispers became screams, sharp and piercing, each one a story of pain and loss. Eleonora's breath came in ragged gasps, her body trembling with every step. She wanted to turn back, to flee from this place of nightmares, but the path held, her pulling her forward like a current. The next spirit appeared as a flicker of light, a young woman with hair like spun gold and eyes that glowed with an otherworldly fire. She floated above the ground, her form shifting and wavering like a flame in the wind. "Love," she said, her voice a haunting melody, "is a blade that cuts deeper than any sword." Her story unfolded in fragments, a forbidden romance, a betrayal, a life extinguished too soon. She reached out, her fingers brushing Eleonora's cheek, leaving a trail of icy fire. The pain was unbearable, a searing agony that tore through her chest. When the spirit vanished, Eleonora clutched the flower she had left behind, its petals blackened and brittle. The forest grew darker still, the air thick with the stench of decay. The whispers were deafening now, a cacophony of voices that clawed at her mind. She stumbled forward, her vision blurred, her body weak. The next spirit was a warrior, his armor rusted and broken, his face a mask of rage and sorrow. He loomed over her, his presence suffocating. "Honor," he growled, "is a chain that binds us to our graves." His sword, jagged and stained with blood, hovered above her, its tip pressing against her chest. She felt the cold metal pierce her skin, the pain sharp and unrelenting. He vanished, leaving behind a shard of his blade, its edges glinting with a malevolent light. The path seemed endless, a labyrinth of shadows and screams. Eleanor's body was failing, her mind unraveling. She wanted to scream, to cry, to beg for mercy, but the forest swallowed her voice. The final spirit appeared as a child, her face pale and lifeless, her eyes empty voids. She skipped along the path, her laughter a chilling melody that made Eleanor's blood run cold. "The forest is my playground," the child sang, her voice echoing in the darkness. "Come play with me." She reached out, her hand cold and clammy, and pulled Eleanor into the shadows. The world spun, the ground giving way beneath her feet. She fell, the darkness swallowing her whole. When she opened her eyes, the forest was silent, the path gone. The first light of dawn filtered through the trees, casting a pale glow over the clearing. Eleanor lay on the ground, her body bruised and battered, her mind fractured. The tokens she had collected, the pendant, the flower, the shard of metal, lay scattered around her, their surfaces dull and lifeless. She could still feel them, their weight pressing against her chest, their stories etched into her soul. She rose unsteadily to her feet, her legs trembling beneath her. The forest was quiet now, the whispers silenced, the spirits gone. But she knew they were still there, watching, waiting. The moonlit path had shown her the horrors of the past, the pain of those who had come before her. It had taken something from her, something she could never get back. But it had also given her something, a purpose, a resolve. She would carry their stories, their pain, their memories. She would be their voice. As she stepped out of the forest and into the light of the new day, she felt a cold hand brush against her shoulder. She turned, but there was nothing there. The whispers returned, faint but unmistakable. "You are one of us now," they said. "You will never escape." Eleonora walked on, the weight of the spirit's stories heavy on her shoulders. The moonlit path was behind her, but its shadows would follow her forever.